Hey, I'm John Cannell, and today on Preppy Kitchen, we're making an easy and amazing peach cake. So let's get started. First off, I'm slicing about 2 cups of fresh, amazing peaches. This is a peach cake, so you should make it at the height of peach season when these guys are at the ready. If you want to make this cake but it's not peach season, go ahead, use frozen peach slices. Just make sure you thaw them and drain them first because they have a lot of extra liquid. And have your oven set to 350. This cake comes together so quickly, you'll want your oven nice and hot. When I make this cake, I love having kind of thin peach slices like this as opposed to chopped pieces. It just looks really pretty when you cut the cake open. This cake is so simple because it's just like a 1-layer cake. You're gonna sprinkle it with powdered sugar, but it is one of the most delicious things you can have. I'm tossing these into a liquid measuring cup just so I can keep track of how much I need. You could have some tiny peaches, you could have some giant peaches. It's really about having 2 cups of finished peach, not how many peaches you're starting out with. Ooh, these are gorgeous. I'm gonna save some of these slices for the very top of the cake. There I go, just a little bit more than 2 cups, but I'm gonna have some beautiful peach slices sprinkled on top. This gets set aside, and now we're gonna make our easy but amazing batter. This batter is so good. Into a medium bowl, I'm adding 1.5 cups or 180 grams of all-purpose flour. Half a teaspoon of salt. If you're using a super fine table salt, try not to, but you'll use half the salt in that case. And rounding out the dry ingredients are 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Give this a whisk. There we go. And set that aside because now it's time for our butter and sugar. Now into a large bowl or the bowl of your stand mixer fitted with a paddle attachment, I'm adding 3/4 cup or 170 grams of room temperature unsalted butter. And once again, you should be able to press with a little bit of effort and indent the butter. You can even bend it and it's not gonna break. If it's too hard, it won't mix up well. And if it's too soft, it won't mix up well. So we wanna get a nice fluffy mixture to trap air to give us a nice fluffy cake. We're gonna cream this butter up first. It should only take about 30 seconds or so. You'll see that it just gets creamier. Then we'll add the sugar. There, nice and creamy. Now it's time to add 1 cup or 200 grams of granulated sugar. Just add that in while you mix on like medium-high. This will mix up for about 3 minutes or until it is nice and fluffy. You'll see it gets to be a lighter color and it looks cloudy. Your butter is gonna start off kind of crumbly, like big pieces. And then as you mix, those pieces will become smaller and eventually it'll get beaten into a fluffy mixture that is so important for the cake. If you're using your stand mixer, you can walk away, but you'll have to scrape the bowl down once or twice. If you're using a hand mixer, you can just scrape the bottom as you mix. Just about 3 minutes later, you can see that I have a nice fluffy, cloudy butter mixture. So now it's time to add in our eggs one at a time, cracking them into a bowl so I can be sure that there are no stray shells. And as usual, we'll add them in one at a time just so it forms a nice mixture. If you don't mix your eggs in enough, you get kind of a broken cottage cheesy mixture, which is fine, it can work. But in a recipe like this where there's only 2 eggs, you really want to mix, mix, mix so it's perfectly combined. All right, look at this. Come take a look. That's a beautiful mixture. It's super fluffy. Now for a little bit of tang and to add some balance, I'm adding in 1/4 cup of sour cream. This will also make the cake really moist and it'll do that without making it at all greasy. And if you don't have sour cream on hand, you could use a cup of like plain Greek yogurt. Mix that in to combine. And don't forget a tablespoon of vanilla. Vanilla and peaches go hand in hand. And here, even if you're using a hand mixer, you should scrape the bowl down just so you can get it all mixed nicely. Now we're gonna mix it up one last time. I would go on high for like 30 seconds or so. I have, once again, a nice smooth mixture. It looked pretty broken after you added in all of that liquid. While the mixer's on low, we're gonna add in our flour just on low though. You don't wanna overmix. And if I were you, I wouldn't mix this until it's combined. I would mix it until it's almost combined. That means you'll see some bits of flour here and there. It's not totally done, but it's almost there. There we go. That's how I clean my beaters off. Okay, now I'm gonna fold this together with my spatula. This is a delicious vanilla cake, but now it's time for the peaches. So I wanna add in 3/4 of a cup of peaches. I'm saving the last quarter for the very top. And if you had some peaches that were like a little bit bruised or just not as pretty a color, I would save those pretty peaches for the top. Gently fold your peaches in. If you have super tender peaches, they will just like start falling apart. So we're gonna be nice and gentle. That looks nice. Evenly distributed, and it's time to go into a 9-inch pan. I gave this a little bit of butter. If you want, you can add a round of parchment paper to the bottom to make completely sure it'll come out perfectly, but this cake should come out really easily. Get every drop of batter into that pan. Now we're gonna smooth this out into a nice even layer. Look at those peaches shining through. This is a masterpiece, and it's so easy. I would never eat cake batter, but if I did, this would be the most delicious thing ever. All right, now those remaining peaches just get placed right on top. You could put them in a pattern, but I think they look nice just plopped here and there. And by the by, if you wanted to make this, wait a second, this is too thick. Is this too thick? And by the by, if you wanted to make this as a layer cake, you definitely could. Just double the recipe, and then for the filling, you could do like a peach puree that's cooked down with like a little bit of cornstarch to be kind of a wonderful gel-like deliciousness thing. Or you could have like a whipped cream with some pieces of peach infused in there. So many different options. You could even do a Swiss meringue buttercream. A little food styling trick, if you see the top of your cake and you're like, oh, I wish I had a couple more slices of peach, just have them on a cutting board, not like I'm doing. And now you've doubled your peach slices. They don't have to be thick at all, and they'll look so pretty. If you want, and I do, you can sprinkle the top with some additional sugar, granulated or sanding, either, even turbinado. Just a nice little sprinkle like that. Just a tablespoon or so. This deliciousness is ready to go into the oven, 350 for about 45 minutes, or until a skewer inserted in the middle comes out clean. In you go. Cake cooled in the pan. I'm giving it a tap on the sides to dislodge it, and I wanted to show you how to present it because it's so beautiful on top. I just don't want you to feel like it's kind of ruined. Turn it upside down onto a flat surface. Lift it up. If a little bit sticks, it's totally not a problem. Just stick it right back on and nobody is going to know. If you're concerned about this, you could use the parchment paper round like we talked about. Now, get your cake plate and turn it upside down again, carefully. There we go. This is just about ready to present, but grab a tablespoon or less of powdered sugar. It just gives you a final flourish that really finishes the cake, but it's optional. Grab a knife, and it's time to enjoy this peachy masterpiece. You're really gonna love this. This cake is basically a peach fantasy. I say this a lot, but it might be my favorite, at least for the summertime. It is so delicious, full of peachy flavor, and it melted in your mouth like a beautiful peach cloud. I hope you get a chance to make this recipe, and if you like this video, check out my summer cake playlist.